and experience the next revolution in social media. Pluck, where your content pays.
Hello, my name is Karabuli Dikha. I am the writer-director of Sabbatical, the movie.
Hello, I am Kagiso Dikha. I am a producer of the film, this is Sabbatical, and also the older brother of Garabs.
Yes.
She doesn't have the younger brother that we know of.
Yeah.
So only brother.
We're just discussing with Mona about one scene that we don't know if it's gonna throw people off or it's just gonna keep people on the edge of their seats. When she was intoxicated and she had to walk home alone, and we know a lot of bad things happen in such situations. And the moment we heard male voices just around the corner, most of us had asked for air because we're thinking, oh no, it's about to happen. What was the process of writing that scene and coming to the conclusion of how it ended?
I think there's always kind of for my own journey as a filmmaker, I've always wanted to tell different stories, perhaps ones that represent us in different ways, like a variety of ways, you know, and it was intentional to have that initial fear, but to also say something different about community, that we really do have each other, you know. Like, I know that those kind of guys, they're my cousins, they're really just chilling, you know. Terrible things happen to women in South Africa, but also we do have people who are just not that way, you know. And I thought, how cool it would be to present that fear and then twist it and make it into something else. I'm also not very interested in showing violence on women's bodies, especially Black, you know, women's bodies. I think we see that a lot and it's traumatizing, you know. So I wanted some relief for our audiences to be like, sorry. Yeah, but it didn't happen to her, you know. That didn't happen, yeah. So it was, I guess, intentional in that way. But I know that initial fear was, yeah, it was there and it was kind of put there for a reason, yeah.
And watching the film from start to finish, a lot of us resonated. I don't know.
Which apparently we did.
We just talked to her and she said,
yeah, she said, oh, you are. You remind me of my mother.
She said,
also in Holland, you saw people who were like...
Yes, we had the first screening in Rotterdam, and the white people there were saying, oh, wow, I must call my mom. Yeah, it resonated, yeah.
And there was the bathtub scene with Umam Clementine and Mona, and most of us received that treatment because we were being naughty. That was a punishment. But to that, in the film, it comes across as a different kind of moment. What inspired that actual scene? Because it's one of the most powerful scenes you can ever see, and it doesn't have words, but it speaks a lot.
Yeah, I think I was kind of playing. There's a memory of the scrubbing of the back. Usually on a Sunday before you have to go to school, you know, they scrub off the dirt from the weekend and the week before, you know. It always felt like there was love, but like brutality, you know. Sometimes the scrubbing, just, I don't know what you're looking for. The dirt is gone now, you know. And maybe they're taking out their own problems on your back and your neck, but I always found a strange mix of punishment and love in it, you know. And I wanted that kind of iconic scrubbing of, you know, the sack of oranges that's recycled for scrubbing. That's a good recycle thing. To kind of represent what Doris is feeling for her daughter at that moment, you know. I just thought it was like a kind of an iconic thing that we do, the scrubbing. It hurts, but it's supposed to be good for you. It's like tough love. That scene should be called #tough love, you know. But maybe there wasn't room for tough love. Maybe it's room for soft love, you know. Let's try soft love, but
somebody was saying it's like scrubbing off your sins, but I guess maybe also like exercising your own sins as you do that. It is powerful because it's got so many meanings.
Yeah, and
we also have, it's so tactile for people who've experienced. You can feel it.
Yeah.
When you see it, you're like, hey, I remember this, you know.
But also it seems like she can never scrub enough, which is why it goes the way it does. It's like, yo, how much can you scrub, you know? You cannot scrub me into a perfect daughter or into what you want me to be, you know? So all of that and whatever you take from it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Introducing Pluck, the ultimate social app where your connections turn into earnings. Seamlessly post, watch content, and chat with friends. But here's the game changer: you earn money from every post. Receive gifts from fans, gain subscribers to boost your income, and explore endless content for entertainment. Plus, our new voice comment feature lets you engage in a whole new way, connect, entertain, and profit all in one place. Download Pluck today and experience the next revolution in social media. Pluck, where your content pays.
from your side, Daphne, so you moved from being part of one of the most innovative comedy shows from Pure Monadi to being part of telling such a powerful story. What is that process like to shift from a mindset of I'm making people laugh to I'm waking up people to look into themselves and reflect?
I mean, I think that while making people laugh, there was also reflect, you know? Like at the time of making people laugh, there was a need to break the ice. South Africa was this new place, and people weren't really being honest about themselves and each other, and that was that. And I think in the same way that this movies, it's, you know, it serves the same purpose. It's like kind of being, let's be honest with ourselves, let's be honest to ourselves, you know. I think for me, the evolution of as a storyteller has always kind of been how authentically can you tell a story. And I mean, and I think Pure Monadi resonated because people were like, yo, this speaks to us. They still come to me today and go, hey man, like that thing, can it come back? Can we do, you know, because it kind of hit a nerve, it hit a truth at the time, you know. And I'll do more comedies in the future when the time and the gap calls for it. But the underlying thing is that authentic storytelling that tells the story of here, you know, and our spaces and all of that. Like, successfully telling that and putting that in the world for me is like an ideal.
I think it's also interesting working with Diprente, which Kahiso runs with our co-producer Tamsin Anderson, that the flavor of the stuff that comes out of it is an honesty, right? It could be horror, it could be thriller. I feel like you should expect all sorts of genres. There is always this kind of satirical, funny thing that we all have, but I think we will continue to play with genre and all sorts of tones, serious or not, you know? So, yeah.
On a bit of a lighter tone, you had Uloiso play the investigative gentleman. And one of the first things when I was sitting with my friends when the trailer was sent, you saw Uloiso and you thought, laughter. But now he is this serious person, but you still want to laugh with everything he's doing and how he's talking.
Yeah.
How did you manage to keep him there and say, you'll be serious, but not serious to a point where people cannot laugh? Because people just wanted to burst out into laughter just
That's so funny. I think he's playing really straight. He's not trying to. But I think what I was also interested in is how big he is. So there's a lot of, he takes
Physically.
up physically.
Yeah.
So I think you want to laugh because he's huge.
Yeah.
And he kind of like towers over people in this seriousness. So I feel like there's a little bit of like a comedy in it, you know? Even like when he's walking through it, everywhere, he's just taking up a lot of, even the shots, he's like, ugh, you know? So I feel like maybe that's where the funny is. Because he's just playing straight. But I found the idea of, and it was a casting that he's also suggested. I was like, oh, this makes sense, you know? I found how imposing his body is already enough that he didn't have to make us laugh or whatever. I thought it would be an interesting addition. Like, put this big man into the small world, you know, as a threat, you know? Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things is, it's the easiest thing for him is to make people laugh. He's like, you know. So I think it's always there.
Yeah.
Like, he's got so much control of it that what you're seeing is that
Yes.
he's not giving it to you, but he could. You know, like there's also that. It's like
It's bubbling under.
yeah, he's like there's one moment that you know before they go and cut. You're like
No, when he says and cut, he's like, no, there's a joke. And you're like, hey,
you
when
know, so it's and it's great because that I feel like that energy makes that character because he's kind of like he's unstoppable. He's got this he's coming. You know, he's got like this thing that no, he'll come, he'll catch up. You know, he's very much like yeah, you know, I'll get there. So yeah, but it's a nice kind of the way you put it now, the idea that you're always about to laugh. You feel like there's a laugh around the corner. I think it's good. He did that well.
Yeah.
You know?
And now, the level of difficulty of telling a story that resonates with people from action to the final cut. Where did you need to be mentally to actually be able to tell that story, as you said, without putting in the horrors of what we see sometimes in townships? What was the level of difficulty making sure that it still speaks the truth, but it still paints a beautiful picture of community within the township society?
That's very nice question. I don't know. I might not have the answer, but I think it's an act of love for me and my people, the people who raised me. I feel like I poured love into these characters. You know, ultimately, I love them all. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of shows. I didn't have a resentment towards any of them as a writer. You know. So it's almost like an honoring of different types of people in my life and in our lives and in our shared communities, you know? So what if the truth was a love letter and not like a complaint or whatever, or a court case, you know? So I think, yeah, it came from a love of how charming we are, even in our difficulties, you know? We
Yeah, so that's interesting because this movie could have been about those people that Loiso's character is chasing about and how they've been cheated and this is what happens in this place in Marikana and what.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. I think it's also there's enough people who tell those types of stories that we need these other ones that are like that bring life, that bring energy into the space, you know.
See, so yeah, from a love perspective, how does one deal with this sort of challenge?
Yeah.
Crime, fraud, theft.
Thank you very much.
Introducing Pluck, the ultimate social app where your connections turn into earnings. Seamlessly post, watch content, and chat with friends. But here's the game changer: you earn money from every post. Receive gifts from fans, gain subscribers to boost your income, and explore endless content for entertainment. Plus, our new voice comment feature lets you engage in a whole new way. Connect, entertain, and profit all in one place. Download Pluck today and experience the next revolution in social media. Pluck, where your content pays.